Welcome to Hollywood's Haunted, the podcast. Not just a podcast, the podcast, where we discuss everything from hauntings and murders to the evil underbelly of Tinseltown. Our hosts today are Tia Bean,
Woo!
Jameson,
hello,
and Patrick. I like how we all waited for that. That was classy, guys. That was nicely done.
Yay.
Professionals. I am here with professionals today.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some. I mean, I was definitely interested when I did the research on this.
Why don't you say what it is?
No, I'm just gonna tease it forever. Yes, this is we're gonna discuss Jane Mansfield, the Pink Palace. That's actually where she lived. So save your 13-year-old jokes for your brain. And then, of course, we're going to jump over to Anton Lavey. If you don't know him, he's
Well, you'll learn all about him in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to be like, I don't know, just say the word Satan, just to keep people,
I say it every morning as soon as I wake up.
Satan. Good Satan to you.
morning, Satan.
Oh my goodness.
How you doing, Jameson? Everything cool?
Hi to everybody out there. Everything's good over here on the East Coast. A little bit darker over here than it is there at the moment, but...
You mean darker, like cloudy-wise, or...?
Oh, yeah, no, it's just darkness all around, because we are going to speak of Anton Lavey, the Prince of Darkness himself.
Nice. I like how Connecticut adapts to your moods like that.
Oh, sure. Well, shoot, we're the home of the family there. I forget what they're... the Warrens. We're home of the Warrens here, so...
Isn't that where that last house on the left is, too?
That could be. I know the haunting in Connecticut took place here.
That's what I was thinking.
So, yeah, Anton Lavey.
Yeah.
I would guess a hero of mine just because his head is as bald as mine is. So I do appreciate the haircut and all that.
That would be a great Halloween costume for you.
That's true.
Ooh, there you go.
That's an easy one too. Yeah.
Just got to get a scary goatee and some devil horns and a cape, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's that's a really good one.
Good idea. A lot of people probably won't get it though. He's been dead for 20 years or so. 25 years. So, yeah, he's, for those of you who don't know who Anton Lavey is out there, he's the founder of the Church of Satan. And I'm sure everyone kind of jumps to the conclusion that they automatically understand what that church is all about. But I was kind of surprised to find out that Satanism itself actually is kind of more of a personal want and need kind of thing, as opposed to all out blood sacrifices and straight up Satanism things, all the things that are associated with that. It's not really so much that. So I was interested to learn as they give it as the meaning of Satanism is places needs, wants, and desires of self or the individual ahead of everything else. So it's basically all about me. And that was surprising.
I like that.
It's basically a selfish religion. It's just like, well, what's in it for me? What can I do for me? How does it benefit me? And that was, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of people kind of end up doing that in the end anyways, especially, no offense to other organized religions, but a lot of it is, given to others, and a lot of people don't follow that.
Yeah.
That's true. And I always thought it was weird too, growing up Catholic, and I don't know, people having the you do this now and you'll be rewarded in the end. It's like, so you are still looking for a reward.
True, very true.
And I never really understood that.
Or people who use the word of God to impose hate on someone else when they're like, oh, but we're a religion of love, but God hates X or Jesus hates whatever, at least.
Oh, it's
yeah. At least Satanism is kind of upfront, with a.
In my opinion, it's
horrible in our opinions.
I shouldn't say what I should say is that it's definitely good for people who need it, people that need that structure, that need that help with things. I think that's a very good thing for some people. The problem is that the people that take it too literally, they're the ones that taint it, and they use it in their favor as a weapon.
True.
And that's tough that's tough. And so it's funny to me to hear what Satanism was kind of more of like, well, I just kind of want to know what's in it for me, and that was kind of a little bit refreshing, I would say. Not to say that I would do it myself, but I mean, I could see where at least people are being honest with themselves and just being like, this is what I want, and I'm willing to, I don't know, maybe they didn't go into explanation about how like the seances were performed or how their prayers were performed or anything like that. Trying to do research, they were very limited as to how a Satanist would perform his Sunday rituals. Put
on their Sunday worst.
I would guess, right?
I mean, I have a copy of Satanic Rituals, the book. If you ever want to, do some satanic rituals, one Saturday afternoon, whenever you're free.
I listen to Stryper, so to hell with the devil. I don't listen to any of that other nonsense. No. I mean, it would be interesting to read up on it. I mean, I've never really thought about, being not into church and stuff myself. I don't really kind of look at it as that, I want to get pinned down into one kind of thing. And, that's just not something I'm super into doing. But, hey, you never know. Might be down to learn a little bit more about Satan himself. Sure. Why not?
I mean, if you spend 10 years learning about the other guy. Well,
yeah, true. You gotta balance it out.
Exactly. That's like not hearing the other person's story, and then all of a sudden this guy's like, no, but you didn't see him. It's like,
oh my
I don't
goodness.
know. Maybe,
he's the real bad guy,
right? Yeah, the devil was just like the guy that like got like hit in the car accident, and then later on the guy was like, "Nah, you hit me." Sorry, I met the devil in a car accident one time.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. Do I sound okay, by the way? Because I'm hearing robots right now.
Oh, you sound fine.
Okay.
You should get that checked out, Jameson. I'm hearing.
Did I not
robots
tell
again.
you that I've converted to robotism?
So, Anton Lavey starts the Church of Satan. Born in 1930. He's born in October. He actually died in October as well, but he's born in October 1930. And he was actually born Howard Stanton Lavey. All right. But changed his name to Anton Zandor Lavey. Anton Zandor Lavey.
So
Zandor was a pretty gifted kid. Was really into playing music. He loved playing like the organ. So he was known to play the pipe organ, the calliope, piano, that kind of thing. And so he did a lot of performance art. And this is where it kind of starts to get a little bit murky. He either dropped out of high school at the end or graduated, and then apparently took up a job with the circus. Okay. He's at the circus, and he sees these men that are basically they're going out at night, and they're getting drunk, they're trying to hook up with women, and then the next day they're going into church and they're trying to act all pious and high and mighty. And so he saw the contradiction in that, and that really turned him sour to religion itself. Okay.
Interesting.
And in about 1950 or so, he meets a woman named Carol, and who's only 15 years old, by the way, marries her, and 2 years later knocks her up, and they have a daughter named Carla. All right. They get divorced in 1960 or so, and he meets another woman, and she births his daughter, and they name her Xena. Not Xena Warrior Princess, but Zeena. And her name is Xena Lavey as well. Just keeping the same last name. They have a son as well, and they lovingly named their son Satan.
Yay!
All right, so their youngest son is Satan, and his middle name is Xerxes. So you have Satan Xerxes Lavey.
What's Xerxes?
All right.
I'm sure he never got beat up a day in his life.
I'm sure he was just a normal kid down the street named Satan. Now, if Satan is listening to this, maybe he embraces his name and all for it. I'm sure he's all on board with being a Satanist, but that's got to be a pretty tough name to just have. Period.
If Satan is listening to this, please message us. We would love to talk to Satan. We would love not just like actual like this Satan right here.
No lie, I used to be a tiny bit obsessed with Xena Lavey, but that's another story.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you ever see an interview with her, she's super calm and collected. She's attractive as well. You know, she's very.
She kind of looks like Taylor Swift.
Put in the way. I mean, I was very interested when I researched Satanism a long time ago because a lot of it does make sense. Like it kind of seemed like a theory of evolution type of like survival of the fittest type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Some of it made perfect sense, but also it's still an organized religion.
Yeah,
you know? So it can't not be fallible, or it's still gonna be weird.
Oh, totally. He basically seemed to be a major figure. He was born in Chicago, but he moved out to San Francisco. And, you know, obviously in the 60s and stuff, San Francisco was like a really major focal point for a lot of things going on, you know. And I think that he was kind of wanting to stand out while he was in San Francisco. So he did strange things like, he drove a coroner's van. And his big signature thing was that he had a black leopard named Zoltan that he would walk around the town on a leash.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Zoltan.
Zoltan.
So he was that guy. He liked to stand out. I'm sure he was wearing a cape at that point. He did shave his head in a ritual. And it was funny because then it was contested that he actually had lost a bet, and that's why he had to shave his head. So that was kind of funny. But he stuck with the story that it was done in this ritual of the moon and all this stuff. So he went with the cooler story.
Was yours a bet or a ritual? Or
no, mine was my grandfather.
That's
nothing cool like that.
Also the moon.
What's that?
Also the moon.
Also the moon, yes. Now I just look like the moon. So he basically, he's hanging out in San Francisco. People are gravitating towards him. He knows how to speak. He's doing all this music and stuff, and he starts a kind of like a group of people called the Order of the Trapezoid. All right. And eventually that becomes the Church of Satan. But the Church of Satan officially didn't start until the end of April 1966. After he started the church, people were drawn to it pretty quickly. There was a few, maybe 100 or 200 people that kind of joined on with it. But it was kind of marketed as not sacrificing animals and not maybe necessarily directly praying to Satan per se, but again, it was all of that darkness and the rituals and being called warlocks and all that. So everything of that was involved. People were drawn to it. Famous people were drawn to it. Stevie Nicks, Marilyn Manson, Christopher Lee, Sammy Davis Jr., Jimmy Page. This guy named Mark Almond, who is the singer of I'm forgetting the name of the band, but they sing the song "Tainted Love."
Soft Cell.
Soft Cell, thank you.
Right, yeah.
So "Tainted Love," the lead singer from that. Now, the cult caught on, and people, and I didn't get a lot of background information on necessarily the church itself, on what goes on inside the church itself. But the overall feeling that I got from reading the articles about him is that a lot of the stuff that he said was never verified. I was telling you earlier, he ran away to the circus, and there's no records of him ever being in the circus. And it seemed that a lot of the stories that he would tell could not be verified by anybody. He claimed to have an affair with Marilyn Manson when she was a dancer in Los Angeles.
Marilyn Monroe, you mean?
Marilyn Monroe, excuse me.
Because that definitely happened with Marilyn Manson.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been weird. They did meet each other, but they weren't dating. but yeah, he said he had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, and when they went to prove that, like both of the guys, like the owner of the club was like, she's never worked here, and nobody's, her friends were like, we've never seen him around. So it seemed that a lot of the things he said were kind of just on his word alone, and a lot of the people that I read about that were famous didn't necessarily buy into the whole thing to it. They were just kind of more like, they thought he was kind of a cool guy, but they weren't really interested in becoming full-on Satanists. Even the guy from Tainted Love, he was like, it was kind of more of a joke, and this and that. So a lot of people kind of, almost every single person I read about was just kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of more of like an honorary degree member kind of thing. Even Manson, they made him a Baptist or something like that, or whatever, a minister or whatever. So the impression that I got was that, like most enigmatic figures that are in churches and whatnot, he was very enticing and very smart and very seductive, and offered a religion that basically promised you anything you wanted. And some people felt that he was in it for a monetary gain. I don't think he made a lot of money off of it, but I think he enjoyed the notoriety, and I think he liked the fact that he was kind of the center of the attention, and that he could, do all these things, and people would kind of follow him along. Because when it ultimately came down to it, from the articles that I read, it really didn't seem like most people didn't take him too seriously, or take the religion too seriously, let's say.
Yeah.
That was the impression. A lot of people just were like, yeah, it's cool, but, whatever. I'm not like, every Sunday there, hail Satan.
That's fine.
I mean, I do that,
So, yeah.
but...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I definitely think the members of the church are definitely, I'm sure that people that go there, I think you were talking about Xena. It seemed, the impression I got is that Xena has basically walked away from the church, and she's not involved with it anymore.
I believe she started her own religion that's more of like a pagan Wicca religion. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even his own daughter kind of bailed on it. So, I don't know, maybe because I think that she had a clash with the guy who kind of was put in charge of it after he died. And so I think that they kind of clashed, and so that's why she left it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just kind of, I feel that anytime you have, let's say, a cult or a church sect that's not an established major religion, you have somebody that's just very personable and likable, and something about them that draws people that are, I don't want to say weak-willed, but just are easily influenced, let's say. And they can gravitate towards that, and they can take advantage of that. That that's a lot of people feel that way about L. Ron Hubbard, I know, with Dianetics and stuff, and that they feel it's a made up religion, and I'm not going to argue with that, but you have somebody who's very strong, and people are attracted to that, and they can kind of convince you to follow them to do anything.
Yeah. It's that's why I was saying, like, before. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's if it's an organized religion, there's bad. Bad seed there.
I have always wanted to start my own cult, but it would just be so much work. But
you just got to learn you just got to know how to talk to people and get them to do the work for you too.
Yeah. When we used to do tours on Hollywood Boulevard, people sometimes would, at like Hard Rock, would be like, I saw you on the boulevard and there was like a bunch of people following you around, and I used to be like, oh, it's okay, I'm part of a cult.
That's great.
We're on our way to CBS.
Walk away, right? Just leave it at that. Just walk away, and you're like, wait, was she kidding? Was that serious? Is Tia really part of a cult?
We just really needed to get more punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Now I did. This was one thing that I thought was kind of funny, and just kind of not prove my point, but just kind of help me kind of lean more towards my findings, or feeling the way I did after my findings, was that the name of the character he chose, and for some reason I didn't write down the name that he chose, but the comedian Don Rickles was on a television show called The Wild Wild West. All right. And there was an episode that they did where the guy was like an evil sorcerer named so-and-so or whatever. And apparently, if you watch the show, all the characteristics and things that he did was what Anton Lavey did. He took it from that character.
That's so funny.
So I thought that was kind of funny that if that was in fact who he did take his character from, he chose Don Rickles to copy. So they just said there was a lot of parallels between the two characters, but I just thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I mean, he didn't take the character that Don Rickles played. That's why I didn't write it down, because he chose a different name, but they were just saying it, yeah. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
That's funny.
That's funny.
So we were talking about different people, and I'm going to let you jump right in here, but Jane Mansfield was definitely probably the most prominent celebrity that he was kind of attached to, where he was very notorious for joining up with him, and I will kind of let you take the baton from there, but definitely Jane Mansfield was definitely associated with it, and her death resulted in a lot of people saying that she had made a deal with the devil and whatnot. So
I feel like that was the reason why that was the most, because like you said, I think people kind of understood that Anton Lavey was kind of, hey, let's take pictures with celebrities, and
I definitely feel like he was more of a showman.
Yeah,
than anything,
yeah. But I mean,
he's
if you're starting a religion, you gotta work the media. You gotta make sure you spread the word.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt that, and this is maybe why I kind of connect to Satanism, is that like Satanists are kind of like the trolls of religion. Like they're kind of slightly like mocking organized religion by like, look what we can do this too,
Well,
and
I love how they'll do things like, get the 10 Commandment statues taken out of places,
yeah,
that are that really, it doesn't make sense to be mixing religion with,
They just got that huge statue erected.
Yeah, and they got that Baphomet statue erected or whatever.
I don't remember where it was.
I don't know what group specifically that was, but
there's
and it's put into it was like put in front of like a courthouse or something.
Yeah,
shit. But it's because
of freedom of religion. Like if you're allowed to have a statue that has the 10 Commandments on it, why can't Satanism have their statue or X, Y, and Z other religion? And so that was something that they were fighting. It was either take down the statue of like the 10 Commandments or erect the statue to the Baphomet. And they chose to erect the statue of the Baphomet, and it's a real thing. It exists. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Where was that?
I don't know.
I want to say it was like Massachusetts or something.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Maybe it's in Connecticut.
Yeah, right? Yeah, maybe you're close.
Jameson looks outside.
Google Baphomet statue on your maps right now.
Find out for me. I will broadcast from there next week.
Oh my god, that would be so sweet.
It's kind of...
Even though it wouldn't make sense because this is an audio podcast.
Yeah,
yeah. That would be... Let's just say you're there next week. You can probably hear the evil behind me.
Evil is subjective.
Like, it's cool.
The evil around me is the reason I only have one bar right now. One bar reception.
You might have to edit that out in post, all this evil.
Satan is giving me bad reception.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
All right, so yeah, Jane Mansfield. That's interesting. I didn't realize that she was one of the more popular ones, but that makes sense because of the death.
Yeah.
Because most of the other ones kind of seemed like that were in his media folder when he was going to pitch his religion to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, like, even she said, she was like, I'm a devout Catholic. I will never become a Satanist. But it's, he's got some interesting points, and I like him, So
yeah, I mean,
it seemed to me that she was more buddy-buddy than I'm all in, cash me in as a Satanist.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of something. I wonder if that photo shoot, because there's a famous photo shoot that Jay Mansfield did with Anton Lavey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a series of photos, and I wonder if that was done at his estate or if it was done at the Pink Palace. I'm gonna have to look into. I should have looked into that.
I mean, that's a really big picture. That's true. Yeah.
Also, this is the other thing that's interesting about her, and I don't want to give away too much of your story here, but The impression that I got was the relationship between the two of them was beneficiary for both of them, because Anton Lavey got the press that, hey, you got Jane Mansfield talking with you and on your side, there must be something up with this religion. And from her point of view, she was kind of a fading star, so she's drumming up this press because, holy crap, Jane Mansfield is hanging out with a Satanist. What's this all about? So she got press and stuff too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it was, she was doing Playboy apparently. Like, she was one of the first celebrities to get naked, and like,
Well, I don't
so
think
she was kind of.
I don't think it was the fading star thing. I think it was more of that's always been her. I think is being
that
the
could be.
camera hog. Look at me, but she was like a typical girl. She wanted.
Excuse me.
Like no, like a typical girl.
Careful
like
now.
she wanted like you watch movies and you want to be a Hollywood starlet.
Oh.
Like when we grow up wanting to be fucking Tom Cruise, like dude gets to fly around in planes and shit, like
Right.
and make cool movies. I feel like she's always looking for like a way to. She was like Angeline, like always looking for a way to sell.
Got it.
Because she definitely wanted to be Marilyn. That was
Sure.
That was her goal.
Yeah, and Marilyn hated. Well, I shouldn't say hated her, but she didn't like it.
She didn't like
Well,
her.
I
Well,
felt-
let's just get into this before we discuss all of it. Before I talk about
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
But so Jane Mansfield, born April 19th, 1933, in Pennsylvania. She was actually born Vera Jane Palmer. She didn't have she didn't have it like terribly rough at first, but it was mostly because her grandparents passed away early on, so she inherited $319,000.
Wow.
But that's actually like by today's standard. I already calculated that to 2019. Back then it was like 80 grand or something, but that's what it would be today. They eventually moved to New Jersey. Unfortunately, her father died of a heart attack in 1936, and she was kind of a person that, like I said, was kind of glued to TV and film, and she really admired and wanted to be Shirley Temple. That was her like first goal. And so at age 12, they got her into dancing classes, and then she was playing the violin, the viola, the piano, and she performs doing like stage, musical type things like that. Age 17, she marries Paul Mansfield. And that's when she starts to actually study acting. Before then, she had, just been working with her family, doing music and stuff like that. Marries Paul Mansfield, 17 years old, which I thought was weird, but I guess that's very typical for back
It's like
then,
the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And then so she starts studying acting, and then she falls in love with Marilyn Monroe, and she desperately wants to be her. It's like a life goal, like written in her diary type of life goal. And so she begs Paul to move to Hollywood, and he doesn't really want to, but eventually he gives in. And she gets her first screen test with Paramount in 1954. And that was really because she made a good friend. She, at that point, was doing a lot of like beauty contests and stuff like that. And she won a lot of beauty contests, and that was the only reason. She was just made friends, and she got a screen test, but she didn't, it didn't go anywhere beyond there. Her first actual role was in the film Female Jungle. I know, very, it must have been.
It's like a very typical 1950s.
It's straight up, yeah. It obviously
Female Jungle.
it obviously wasn't like an epic drama.
That's how did that win Best Picture?
Right, yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah, exactly. Right next to Male Desert. But the way she actually did make her claim to fame was not just because of her looks, which I thought was interesting, because that's how she was trying to sell herself. This was the age of the Hollywood blonde bombshells,
Sure.
So she was trying to match that. I mean, she was a brunette. She dyed her hair blonde like her entire life almost. But so she got the lead role in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and that was actually on Broadway. And then it did so well, they decided to make it into a movie, and she starred in the movie as well, and the movie did great. So that kind of was what kickstarted it.
We just watched that the other day. It was so good.
Yeah,
She kind of like plays like a parody character of Marilyn Monroe.
mm-hmm. Which was really
Probably
interesting.
Maybe is why Marilyn didn't really like her.
Okay.
Well, there were several.
Well, I think
several reasons,
the press is pretty relentless on that too, right? Like they were a big part of stirring the pot between the two of them, weren't they?
The press during the pot?
Yeah,
oh,
right, yeah,
never.
Exactly. Well, it was that in the studios.
Oh, okay.
Interestingly enough, after she marries Mickey Hargitay, they actually met on the Mae West show. This was right after she posed for Playboy. Like her career was definitely heating up. And then Fox decides right after she does this Playboy cover, Fox decides to sign her for 6 years. And some people believe it's not because they had so much faith in her, but a lot of people thought it was punishment on Marilyn, saying that we can get another Marilyn. Because I guess Marilyn Monroe was not, she wasn't exactly easy to get into a film. You know,
well, she was like difficult to work with on set.
Exactly, yeah. But well, there was also like contractual issues too. You know, a lot of the time. But it's like you're Marilyn Monroe. You know, like she was one of a kind.
Marilyn also took herself very seriously and probably wouldn't do these certain roles.
She wouldn't be in Female Jungle.
Did you know? Okay, real quick though.
Or maybe she would. I don't know.
Jane Mansfield lost custody of her first child because she posed in Playboy. Isn't that crazy?
I did know that. I didn't mention that though.
Yeah, but right. That was like a thing back in the day. Like if like today I posed for Playboy, it wouldn't matter. That's
right. Yeah, that's part of your publicity.
You know, in retrospect, compared to like what, you know, sexual things that are available today, Playboy's pretty tame, you know, when you think about
Playboy
it.
Playboy doesn't even exist really anymore, you know, it's because of its
we all read it for the articles anyway.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Here.
Clever comics. But yeah, some people believe it was just a punishment on Marilyn, like as a way of being like, you know, we can get another Marilyn, or, you know, if you want more movies, you have to compete now. You know, there is a second one of you around or whatever. After that, she was in The Girl Can't Help It, which was a huge hit, mostly because of the amazing music. You guys remember the
soundtrack?
The song, The
Girl Can't Help It, Girl Can't Help It, or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is that from that?
Yeah, that sample is taken from that song too. That was I don't know who sings that one.
I don't know. I'm gonna use that in my next TikTok.
Right, yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, Gene Vincent, Fats Domino, Eddie Cochran, and Little Richard was even in that soundtrack.
Ooh.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a good film for her to be in. That was kind of the peak, I think. After that, she married Matt Cimber, the last of the three husbands that she would marry. But unfortunately, on June 29th, 1967, in Mississippi, she was actually leaving...
Gus Stevens Supper Club.
That's right. She was leaving to head to an interview. That was the next morning. So it was like 2 a.m., I think.
She had just done 2 performances at Gus Stevens Supper Club in New Orleans.
Cool. And then, so yeah, it's like 2 a.m, and it's her and Sam Brady and Ronald Bitterson, who was the driver.
Sam Brady was the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
And her 3 kids are in the back seat?
And her 3 kids are in the back seat. I forgot to mention, that Mickey had 3 kids with her. One of them being Mariska Hargitay, who is, what was her character's name?
Olivia Benson.
Olivia Benson in Law & Order. She actually won an Emmy. Did you know
SVU, yeah.
That's I mean, I guess SVU would probably win a lot of Emmys. There's so many dramatic moments in that
Oh
show.
yeah, that's a great show.
God, it's a hard show to watch sometimes, but yeah, it's a good show. But yeah, so they're driving in Mississippi, and it's a super foggy night, and the driver doesn't notice that the tractor trailer in front of them has slowed down, and he's not like completely stopped, but so it's so foggy that by the time they realize it, it's too late, and they slam into the back of this tractor trailer, basically slicing the car, like shearing the top of the car off, and it instantly kills the three adults in the front seat, and the three children who were asleep in the back were completely fine. A lot of people believe that there's a rumor that she was decapitated, but she didn't actually lose her head.
I mean, I heard a thing that Jane Mansfield told her children to lay on the floor of the car if they were tired, to lay down on the floor of the car, and that's what saved their lives.
That's interesting.
Now, I saw an article that said that the children were harmed, but obviously no life-threatening injuries. But Mariska was saying that she still has a scar on her forehead from the accident.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's an article I read. The kids were banged up, but they were fine.
Oh yeah, I mean they weren't. Yeah, dead.
And also, I saw that it wasn't even a fog that was out there. That they were saying they were like doing a bug spray. Like there was huge clouds of bug spray.
Oh, crazy.
I heard that too. Yeah.
That created the fog. So it wasn't even just a foggy night. It was just this random area that they were, debugging.
Interesting.
That's right. Yeah, I heard that too. Some people say fog. Some people say it was that too.
Did you see the safety measure that they implemented because of this?
Yeah, I was just about to mention. Yeah, they then had to put in the underride guard on all trailers, so that way this doesn't happen again. Which it wouldn't. Yeah, nowadays that would protect it. You just smash into it like it'd be a brick wall, basically. But you'd have a much better chance of surviving that for sure.
Absolutely. Now, you said she was supposedly decapitated. When I read some things, they said that part of maybe the top of her head was sheared, like she was more like scalped.
Scalped, exactly. Yeah.
They
also said that she was scalped because her hair was seen on the asphalt. But it was actually a wig. She was wearing a wig.
Okay, so she had a wig. Okay,
but it did like rip off her. It wasn't scalped. It was like her skull kind of came off.
Wow.
Yeah,
the top of the top portion of her head was sheared off almost.
Like when they eat monkey brains in that Indiana Jones movie. It would be like that.
Oh my god.
Chilled monkey.
We're going to hell. I'm going to hell.
I
was just trying to.
We're all going to hell, but not just because of this.
I was just trying to visualize it, I guess. But yeah, super unfortunate. The kids, did survive, luckily. But yeah, very, very, very tragic story. I didn't want to end it on a tragedy though, because Jane Mansfield was just a good person at heart. She was. A lot of people think of her as just this blonde, sexy bombshell person, but I kind of think of Angeline a lot when definitely when I was researching this, because she was just using,
her assets.
She's using her assets, and she was also just having a blast, she was posing nude in Playboy was nothing to her, because she was doing nip slips and stuff on purpose just to get pictures all the time.
I mean, don't we all?
I mean, yeah, I'm slipping a nip right now.
It happens.
There is super nip slip right now.
Just ask Janet. It happens.
But yeah, a couple of things I just wanted to mention. That one of her first roles was actually for General Electric. This was her first modeling gig, and it featured her and a bunch of other women in bathing suits. But unfortunately, she was cut out of the final ad because she looked too sexy for 1954 viewers, as said by the photographer. Right, which is, I mean, kind of true. I mean, when she came out, like, that's, that was one of her things, was being sexier than everybody.
That's got to be pretty awesome when they tell you, "I'm sorry, you're too hot to handle." So
right? Yeah,
we're gonna have to ask you to leave.
You're distracting our directors from other studios. She actually
that'd be
boasted.
great if they were like interviewing her, and in the background, like everyone's crashing over each other because they're all staring at her. And it's like she's causing this major accident. They're like, "We're gonna have to ask you to leave the set immediately."
Well, in the movie, sorry, it's hitting the bit. In the movie, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter? That I think she hugs him, the main character, who is Tony Randall, is that who it was? Anyway, he hugs the lead character, and popcorn in his pocket starts going off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was very, very cartoony, just like that.
Very suggestive.
Now let me ask you this: going back to Anton Lavey and all that, didn't the media try to kind of tie it onto Anton that there was like a deal with the devil and all that? And then he was trying to backpedal and say that he had put the curse on the lawyer. Like, wasn't there a bunch of stuff like that? Did you see anything about that?
I didn't really look too much into that. I heard that, there was rumored that, he had done that to the lawyer or her boyfriend at the time, who I think was Sam Brady. I think that was her boyfriend at the time.
She was kind of sleeping with her lawyer.
Yeah.
He was married.
At
the time, too.
Oh, that's right. He was married.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like...
But she had affairs with JFK and Robert Kennedy, too. So,
wow, they were really, like, picking out all the blonde...
they got Marilyn Monroe, and then, what the... I mean, I guess when you get a president... That was my horrible JFK impersonation.
Okay.
Well, funny enough, Anton Lavey apparently was involved in a plot to kill Ted Kennedy.
Oh.
So that kind of comes around there.
There you go. That maybe maybe it was like screw over your family type of thing. Yeah.
But I know that the media did jump on the whole. She was hanging out with Anton at the time that she died, so I know that they really tried to tell. She was playing with the devil and she got burned and that kind of thing. And I'm sure that fit nicely in with the decapitation story as well. So the media probably had a field day with that one.
Mm-hmm. She had an IQ of 163. She could speak 5 different languages.
Wow.
But she actually said in quotes that everyone could care less because they're more interested in 40, 21, 35.
That's a great line.
Right? Yeah.
That is a great line.
She
can
was
do all these wonderful things and nobody cares.
Right, yeah, but
40, 21, 35. Oh
40, dear God.
God, that is so hourglass.
Yeah, right. She was offered the role of Ginger in Gilligan's Island.
Oh.
But she actually turned it down because she felt the role was a stereotype from which she was kind of trying to get away from at the time.
Okay.
Which is interesting, that she would finally be like, no, can't do it anymore. I'm a person. Before he was huge, Jimi Hendrix collaborated with Jane Mansfield on an album that she actually recorded.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't release it.
She didn't release it?
She never released it.
I wonder if you could find any of...
I wonder if that's around, I would love to.
So you're saying that Jimmy was involved in maybe playing guitar on the album or one of the songs?
He played guitar and bass on 2 of the songs.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Interesting.
And that was, 1965, so that was right before he kind of, right?
Yeah, he was still a studio or a musician for, I think he played with James Brown and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wasn't Woodstock 1969 his breakout?
Yeah,
that's right. 4 years later. That's quick.
So my story, we'll get into it, is about the Pink Palace. So Jane Mansfield was married to Mickey Hargitay, She met him in 1957, and that's when he and Jane decided that they were going to purchase this house that they would inevitably call the Pink Palace, and it was located around the Sunset Boulevard area. And in 1958, she ends up marrying Mickey Hargitay. That same year, Mickey Hargitay was crowned Mr. Universe, which I didn't know was a thing at the time, that there's a Mr. Universe. I know about Miss Universe, but apparently it was like a bodybuilding contest, kind of like a Charles Atlas thing.
Yeah, that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger would win.
Yeah. They have 3 kids. Mikos, Zoltan, and yeah, right? Like talking about Anton Lavey, and then there's Zoltan and Mariska. And Mariska Hargitay, we all know her from Law and Order SVU these days. So I believe personally that Mickey was the love of Jane Mansfield's life, and the only husband that she had that really did love her and worship her. And most of that love was definitely expressed in this mansion that they purchased together. So they purchased the Pink Palace in 1957, and they weren't very rich at the time. Like, they had money from being famous, and they were like this power couple. They were both very publicity hungry, and they were both very gorgeous and in the public eye. So they were able to use that to their advantage. But they got a great deal on this house. The house was originally built in 1929. And at that time, crooner Rudy Valley first purchased the house for $100,000 in 1932. But Jane Mansfield, when they purchased it, they only paid $76,000 for the mansion. But that was like all their money. They had no furniture or anything to furnish the house. So Jane Mansfield put out an article in the newspaper kind of talking about the house and her and Mickey Hargitay being together. And they said that they were in plush poverty. And so people started donating furniture to them. And Jane Mansfield, being kind of using her assets to her advantage, she would go to these furniture stores and she would offer to sit in the window of the furniture store and sign autographs if she got to keep the chair that she was sitting on. And so that's kind of how they started to furnish their house. But Mickey Hargitay was also like, he was a little bit into construction, and he fully customized this mansion. He painted the outside of the mansion pink with a salting of quartz crystals in the paint so that the house would glisten in the sun. There were mirrors everywhere, a lavish office, a 2-story living room with a 10-foot chandelier that weighed 700 pounds, a heart-shaped swimming pool with the words, "I love you, Janie," painted at the bottom. Jane's bed in the room had a custom headboard made of antique pink glass. And in the pool house, there was, in the pool house, there was I want to mention this so bad. In the fireplace that was in the pool house, there was a copperhead that Mickey had made customly for Jane that read, "My love is in flame for you forever." Yeah, I know. He also built a fireplace, which was very iconic at the time, using 6,000 pounds of petrified wood, and he created a copper ceiling for her.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
The mansion sat on 3.5 acres. The building itself was 10,000 square feet. of living space with 15 rooms. So beautiful, beautiful, lush place. The iron gates outside of or surrounding the building had a J and M in the iron gates. And Jane loved this house. She was often seen waving from the balcony and signing autographs for fans outside of the mansion. She was very happy with it, but unfortunately her relationship with Mickey Hargitay kind of didn't last very long. She divorced him in 1964. Her career kind of went downhill at the time. She married Matt Simber, who she divorced in 1966, and then her final husband, Sam Brody, or the man that she was with, was a married lawyer who was in the car with her when they had their fatal accident. However, Jane Mansfield was buried in Fairview Cemetery in Pennsylvania, and her gravestone is a huge heart shape, and it says, "We live to love you more each day." It's good. It's to be noted that Mickey Hargitay was her only husband that attended her funeral.
Interesting.
He still loved her even long after, and even watching the documentaries on her after the fact, you can definitely see that he really still loves her even to this day. He's still alive as far as I know, and she was the love of his life, and it's unfortunate that it didn't really work out between the two of them. But they did have 3 beautiful children together. So because of her quick end, it's believed that her spirit is not at rest, that she still wanted to be successful in the business, and she never really got to taste that full success. So her spirit has been seen wandering around this mansion, which was dubbed the Pink Palace. So a lot of the stuff inside the house was customly built by Mickey Hargitay. He kind of made this whole mansion in tribute to Jane because he loved her so much, and he was creating this life with her. And unfortunately, when he went on to say that when Jane Mansfield died, the Pink Palace died with her.
Sure.
Now, many of the owners, after owning the house, kind of started spreading kind of these rumors that the house was cursed. It was rumored that many of the owners after the fact had experienced bad luck, even as far as to be in fatal car crashes. But there wasn't much that I found on that fact. I got most of my information from Gabalosis, the YouTube personality. I've been watching her for a really long time, and she is obsessed with Jane Mansfield. So I got most of this information from one of her videos and a couple documentaries as well on the Pink Palace. So it is said that a woman who owned the house after Jane Mansfield had come across some of Jane's clothing within the mansion. And the clothing didn't fit her because obviously Jane had very specific measurements. So she had the clothing altered to fit herself, and she would wear the clothing around the house, even going as far as dyeing her hair platinum blonde. One day when she was, I know, right? Obsessive much?
Obsessed much?
Right? One day when she was alone in the house, she heard a voice that sounded like Jane's voice say, "Get out." And so that's what she did, and she left the house and eventually sold it. Funny enough about the Beatles, Ringo Starr actually owned the house for a time.
Oh, interesting.
He had met Jane's before, and when he bought the house, he chose to paint over the pink paint on the outside. But no matter how many times he painted the house, he could never fully cover the pink paint. Mysteriously, the pink paint kept seeping through.
Oh, man. That's a cute Amityville. Right?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because of the quartz in there.
Yeah, I mean...
Or was it the ghost?
Right?
Of course.
The ghost of Sherman Williams.
So in 1976, English pop star Engelbert Humperdinck.
Nice.
Do you guys know who that is? Because I have no clue who that is.
Best name ever.
So anyways, in 1976, English pop singer Engelbert Humperdinck bought the house. And he was a huge fan of Jane Mansfield. He'd met her 2 weeks before she passed away when she was in London. And she had invited him to her home, but unfortunately passed away before he could ever visit. And he felt that it was fate that wanted him to buy the house. So he restored the house back to pink. And he says, because that's what Jane would have wanted. Now, after the restorations, he felt her spirit was in the house. And he felt that she was there quite often. He knew it was her because he would smell her rose perfume. There'd be no one in the house, no woman in the house whatsoever, and he would smell this rose perfume. And one night he actually saw a figure of Jane come visit him. He said, "Once I saw a figure in a long black dress in front of me. It was Jane, but I wasn't frightened. I was about to say, 'Hello, Jane,' when I realized she was dead. I didn't say anything, and then she faded out."
Interesting.
So in 1980, he had the home blessed by a priest, and after that, he never felt her spirit again, and he believed that her spirit was finally at rest. Unfortunately, in 2002, he had to put the house on the market, and he was promised by the new owners that they would keep the home intact, but within a month of selling the house, they made plans to have it demolished.
Wow.
Yeah. The children were allowed to take anything they wanted from the home. They did take the copper hood that Mickey Hargitay had made for Jane's. That read, "My love is in flame for you forever." And in 2002, it was demolished. Now, on a wonderful note that I'd like to leave this on, in 2013, Mariska Hargitay was awarded her star on the Walk of Fame, and she put her star right next to her mother's star, Jane Mansfield's star, that is on Hollywood Boulevard.
There you go.
And
Awesome.
that is the story of Jane Mansfield and the Ghost of the Pink Palace.
I'm trying to think of where that star is.
We can go look at it when we go there.
I've definitely passed it, for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that.
I also like that it's one of the few ghost stories that I've heard that the lady was dressed in black and not in white.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny. Yeah.
Well, funny enough, we should talk about the Hollywood Forever Cemetery and the woman in black that comes and visits
That'd be a good one.
Rudolph Valentino out there. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Hollywood's Haunted, the podcast, is the collective work of the owners and employees of Hollywood's Haunted Tours and is available on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, like, and share, because sharing is scaring. For more information on Hollywood's Haunted, visit our website at hollywoodhaunted.com. Alright, now you can leave, James. Get the
Oh, no, it's all good. I was
Get
trying
the
to
fuck
help you
out of here.
make a nice exit.
All right, good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Jameson. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for everything. It was wonderful.
Hollywood's haunted.
Later.
Hollywood's really,
Bye-bye.
really haunted. Hollywood's haunted. Hollywood's haunted. Hollywood.